Hi everyone, my name is Zoe Johnston. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the network coordinator for the UU Young Adults for Climate Justice. I can't be here this evening, but I'm so grateful that I get to share my reflection with you through this recording. In this winter season, we are surrounded by the darkness of the night, the downturn of the year. It's a hard time to feel hopeful when all the leaves are gone and the world has turned inward. But I think for many of us, it's hard to feel hopeful any time of the year. Those of us who are committed to social justice are confronted with how harmful the world is all of the time. And it feels impossible to think that things can get better. But I think we need to separate the feelings of hope with the practices of hope. I think that the feeling of hope is optimism and possibility. It is that fuzzy feeling that things will work out. It doesn't require anything of us other than to believe in that imagined reality that exists somewhere in the future. But because of the world that we live in, it's almost impossible to hold on to. The feeling of hope almost works as a pendulum, swinging between fullness and absence, depending on the people you're around, or the most recent world events, or the media you've interacted with. In those moments of hopelessness, nothing is asked of us. We can sit in those feelings of despair and discouragement, wallowing in hibernation. Because if we do not believe in the possibility of a better world, then we don't have to do anything to make it happen. Even if the world slowly nudges us back towards hopefulness, how can it last? How can we cling to the feeling of hope when gravity is pulling us down, destined to swing back and forth, yet never making any progress at all? I personally believe that feeling hopeful is still important in its own way. We cannot do this work without joy and celebration of possibility. Even if it is temporary, those moments matter. We deserve to laugh and dance and smile with each other, wrapped up in the warm embrace of hope, trying to prolong it just a little bit longer. But I believe that on the collective level, we must give more attention to our practices of hope. The practices of hope are what Black abolitionist organizer and author Mariame Kaba refers to when she says, "It's work to be hopeful. It's not like a fuzzy feeling. You have to actually put in energy, time, and you have to be clear-eyed, and you have to hold fast to having a vision. It's a hard thing to maintain, but it matters to have it, to believe that it's possible to change the world." Mariame Kaba tells us that we have to hold fast to having a vision of liberation where we are all seen in our wholeness, celebrated for who we are, and cared for in each aspect of our lives. And while this vision may not be destined, our practices of hope must be in service of it. We do not have to believe that an ideal future will happen in order to be spurred into motion. We just have to believe that what we are doing now is important. Practicing hope requires something of us. It asks more of us than our feelings. We are working against the natural pull of gravity back into that state of hopelessness and stagnation. But consistent practices lead us to sustained feelings. Through our practices, we build a pendulum that is biased in favor of the fullness of hope. So when we are talking to each other or reflecting within ourselves, especially at the end of this year, the most important question to ask is not, do you feel hopeful? The answer to this may depend on the week, the day, or even the hour. And the answer doesn't tell us anything about the actions that are being committed in service of our future. The question must instead be, are you hopeful? And some people may use the two interchangeably. Why use more words when you can use less? But they are not the same. Because to ask someone, are you hopeful, is to implicate hope as a long-term state of being. Hope as a descriptor of how we move about this world. To be hopeful is to believe from the very core of your being that there is a possibility for the future, and that regardless of if it is destined for us, the actions we take now matter. We become that vision, personified and embodied. I encourage you to think of the practices in your own life, both reflecting on this past year and thinking of the possibilities for the year ahead. What have you committed to creating? Who have you committed to caring for? How are you showing up even when you are discouraged? All of us have an impact on the world around us, and all of us can practice hope. We can slowly but steadily move towards our ideal yet uncertain vision of the hope of the future. We are hopeful. Thank you.